Lauren Brooks and Taylor Dahl.
This is Helmets and Heels
on 1010XL.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
We have to start this Thursday. Yes, I do know what day it is today. We have to start this Thursday with both a happy birthday and a congratulations. Happy birthday to Jarian Jones.
Yay, Jarian.
Friend of the pod, friend of the program.
That's right, friend of the station, friend of the program. And also congratulations on graduation, Travis Hunter.
Oh, yes. We got a double celebration today. I love it.
That we do, and really a triple celebration because we have 3 pairs of tickets to give away to go see Riley Green, of course, country music superstar. And those are win them before you can buy them because the tickets don't go on sale till tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. at Ticketmaster.com. He comes alongside Ella Langley, Drake White, and Channing Wilson. Ella Langley, I feel like her career is skyrocketing right now.
I feel like I don't really know her.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
she sings a song with Riley Green, and that's what I think kind of thrust her into the forefront of country music. And now some of her solo songs are going really well as well. So.
Molly McDonald is very sad that she is not eligible to win these tickets, so do it for Molly, folks.
How many times have you seen him?
I've seen him 3 or 4 times. The first time I saw Riley Green was he and Morgan Wallen were opening acts for Jason Aldean in February of 2020. And the reason, obviously, I know the date is because then I didn't see a concert for a long time after that. I was honestly more excited for that concert for Riley Green and for Morgan Wallen than I even was Jason Aldean. I had seen Jason Aldean before. And then Riley Green has come to the amphitheater in St. Augustine. And then I went to Savannah to the new End Market Arena up there. So I think 3 times now. Okay. And then, and then he came here last year to the Players Championship. Oh, so 3.5, I'll call it, because that's not usually a full show, but that was a lot of fun too. So yeah, if you haven't seen Riley Green in concert, get excited. He is so much fun. And at first, by the way, he sings a song about Georgia time, but that he bleeds orange and blue. So at first I was like, he's a Gator fan.
Yeah.
But no, Auburn is the orange and blue that he's referring to. Because he's from Alabama, so I was like, I can't believe he's a Gator fan. He's
Don't they have a different way? Isn't it? There's a different saying. It's not orange and blue. I've never heard Auburn
say orange and blue.
They say War Damn Eagle.
Right. Like I've never heard them refer to their colors, but hey, if it rhymes in a country song, go for it.
That's what you need. All right, let's get into some ESPN's Jeremy Fowler's post-draft intel on the Jacksonville Jaguars. These are 3 different sections that I think are fascinating, but we'll start with the running backs. He says, watch out for 4th-round running back Bashal Tutin to make an impact. Jeremy Fowler has talked to multiple people in the league who believe the new regime is not so high on Travis Etienne Jr., and Tank Bigsby has a fumbling issue. That is, I feel like fantasy-wise, if you're a fantasy player, like you might want to,
start
log that away for Tutin for sure. But Mia, that's news to me that this regime doesn't love Travis Etienne Jr.
I mean, ultimately, when you look at it this way and you couple it with the various moves, not just the one yesterday to release Gabe Davis, but even the move to trade Christian Kirk, release Evan Ingram, Travis Etienne, yes, his final year, his 5th-year option is fully guaranteed. But aside from that, and knowing what the going rate of a running back is in the National Football League, and additionally the average playing lifespan of a running back in the National Football League, if they're a bell cow, I'm not surprised. I wouldn't go as far as to say they don't like him. That's a little bit strong. But
I had not heard that.
Yeah, that's a little bit strong, and that's the first I've heard of that. But I will say that it's certainly the reality of the numbers and sense situation of it all. And they also drafted 2 running backs.
Yeah. One of which also fumbled a lot. So that is, if you're going to kind of discredit one, Tank Bigsby for fumbles, and the 6, you just drafted one that's had 9 in the last few seasons. So I'm not quite sure the complete logic of that, but I am surprised personally. And I remember going back to probably October of last year when we started talking about the running backs and what possibly this team could do coming up and some of the contracts they were going to have to look at. And I specifically remember bringing up Travis Etienne and being like, I don't see Travis Etienne staying here too much longer. Not because I don't think Travis Etienne is a good back, but that's just kind of how running backs happen in the NFL. Even the really good ones end up on different teams. And I think that even with this resurgence we've seen of running backs this last couple years, I still don't know if teams quite value them the way that maybe the running back wants to be valued, or that maybe the game is leaning towards valuing them, just because I think that you are seeing a lot of backs come in quick and find success very fast on NFL teams, and you can have 4 years of a rookie contract with them, and you don't have to pay them a lot of money. And I kind of went back to the point of last year, because when people were talking about that resurgence and how important the running back is, and the names they keep kind of cycling around are a Derrick Henry and a Saquon Barkley, who went to really good teams. Like, it wasn't like Saquon went to the Panthers and the Panthers went to the Super Bowl. Like, he went to an already really good NFL organization that had a lot of pieces around him. We weren't talking about any team drastically changing, a bad team drastically changing because they added a good running back. That just hasn't been the conversation, and unfortunately, that's where it is. I think we do know you have to be able to run the ball. You have to be able to, that has to be a part of your offense, because we saw last year when you couldn't, how much that drastically affected a lot of other things. But I do think that teams still aren't at the point where they value running backs as high as maybe we want to feel like they did because of the way things went last year.
Well, and I think it goes back to, was it Travis Etienne Jr. that couldn't run the football? And certainly Bigsby had a little bit more success than he did. Or was it the offensive line, or is it a combination? And so they obviously have looked at this roster and said the line last year certainly wasn't going to cut it. They've replaced at least 3, if not 4, of the offensive line starters from last year. And then certainly they've, I would say, overhauled the running back room in the sense of, I do think Bashal Tutin will get a lot of carries, and I think LaQuint Allen will play a significant role on third downs. So I think they looked at it, Mia, and said both were the issue.
Let's look at it from this perspective. The Jaguars want to make the postseason, right? The running back rooms for the 14 teams that made the playoffs from a year ago. Let's go from 1 all the way down to 7 in both conferences. Kansas City Chiefs. As much as, yes, Isaiah Pacheco is the headliner, when he was injured, they had a stable of running backs. The Detroit Lions, a 2-headed monster. The Philadelphia Eagles, certainly powered by Saquon Barkley, but they may be an outlier because of their offensive line. Buffalo Bills, yes, James Cook is the headliner, but they've got some other pieces in that running back room that they rotate in and out. The Baltimore Ravens, another one that goes, yes, Derrick Henry. It goes as Derrick Henry goes, but historically speaking, they've had...
And Lamar and Jalen are also tied into that.
All the quarterbacks you've mentioned so far, too, also run the ball.
Correct. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Liam Cohen last year certainly had a stable, even if Bucky Irving ultimately emerged from the pack. Kyron Williams in L.A., yes, is the leader of that room, but there's a stable. The Houston Texans, poor Damian Pierce, that's all I have to say there. I mean, Joe Mixon, I thought you played for the Texans back in 2021. No, you played for the Bengals, then you play for the Texans now. Sorry, Urban Meyer, I had to get that one off. Los Angeles Chargers. Jim Harbaugh is going to build a stable. Oh, yeah. Yes, he now has Omari and Hampton. He has his alpha number 1, but there will be a stable. Minnesota keeps trading for more running backs. They keep bringing in more pieces. And certainly the Commanders, a 2-headed monster. Green Bay, they bring in Josh Jacobs, but they rotate guys in. The Steelers, that's their identity. They have multiple running backs. The Denver Broncos also looking for an alpha. Hopefully they have found one for their sake banking on his name, UCF, RJ Harvey. Point is, reason I ran through all those teams, stable of running backs. And that is what I come back to, especially knowing Grant Udinski's Minnesota influence, Liam Cohen's LA and Tampa influence. Yes, Travis Etienne may be here. He may not be here, but I don't know. I can't guarantee for you on May the 8th who the lead tailback is, and that is not the worst thing in the world. Because I think a lot of this, Lauren, is going to depend on, does Bashal Tutin impress to the point in training camp? Does LaQuint Allen impress to the point in training camp that you say, I can say goodbye to Travis Etienne? Because if they don't, if the fumbling issues are still there for Tutin, you're going to keep Travis Etienne for one more year. It's not counting that much against your cap.
Right.
He's a proven commodity. And if you're banking on offensive line improvement, trot him out there. Yeah. He had 1,000 total yards back-to-back seasons.
Did 11 touchdowns
2 years ago.
The year before.
2 years ago.
The question is, do they trust Travis Etienne's pass pro skills, right? Like, do they trust him in pass protection? If the answer is yes, then he's on this roster.
Yeah.
If the answer is no, then I do wonder if they do try to move on from him. But the point of Jeremy Fowler's report to me is less about Travis Etienne, although, like I said, that's the first time I'd ever heard anyone say that this regime is not so high on Etienne. But to me, it's more, is Tutin going to be a much more featured back? Because I think some people would say, well, yeah, he was drafted, a little later than you would have expected if they loved, a guy like Ashton Genty, and then they waited to the 4th round to get this guy. Well, they knew they could get him in the 4th round because, yes, there were the fumbling issues. Also, he's a little bit smaller of a guy, unlike the Saquon Barkley or the Derrick Henry. By the way, I'm sure y'all know this stat, and we talked about it during the regular season. The Eagles paid Saquon Barkley less than the Jaguars paid Gabe Davis. Talk about another just like,
Lord. Hang the banner.
Thanks, Trent.
Yeah, palm on the face, like, oh, goodness, what are we doing? All right, so Jeremy Fowler also says the lack of interior defensive line help is an issue that some in the building acknowledge. Edge rushers Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines-Allen need help. That to me seems like maybe before the Jaguars signed Emmanuel Ogbah, because I feel like after
I think
drafting
he's saying they need help interiorly.
It's
the struggles are in the interior pass rush, and those guys need help.
Them.
Like that, yeah. The reason they've had to do so much is because there's nothing on the inside, which is what I've said. Which is what I've been saying. That's why I said I didn't believe that they didn't think the defensive line interior didn't need help. It was just more so they had too much to focus on and they couldn't hit everything. So that was maybe the one, like if you could just scale it from a 1 to a 10 lesser on their worries. So they kind of had to focus on some other stuff. But I do think there's concerns there because I think you're counting on some guys to have very fast, quick development and take these big steps up. You're counting on some guys to be who they were a couple, 2-3 years ago. And so you're having a lot of hope in that room, and which it could pay off. Like we could see a Devon Hamilton come back and be what he was before. We could see Eric Armstead playing the correct position and kind of having what he was 3 years ago. Mason Smith, obviously, we could see him continue to develop, but that's a lot of what ifs. There's nobody on that interior that I feel like people would guarantee like, oh yeah, you can get this amount of pressures or this amount of sacks or he's going to help like X amount. It's a lot of question marks.
We went through the 53-man roster on this morning's Duval Rundown podcast, available now at the 1010XL Jaguars YouTube channel on demand, as well as the podcast network. Here are, between defensive end and defensive tackle, here are the names on the roster. I won't include those undrafted rookie free agents. Currently on the 90-man roster, Eric Armstead, Miles Cole, 41 and 44, Emmanuel Ogbah. We could put those three in the edge room, sure. Devon Hamilton, Jordan Jefferson, Tyler Lacey, Mason Smith. That's it.
Yeah.
That's who is in the interior defensive line room as of right now. One of those undrafted free agent cats is making the team. Yeah, and it might be two, because we don't know how this team and this regime feels about Tyler Lacey, how they feel about Miles Cole. And so then you throw Jalen McLeod in the equation, and that was kind of the exercise that Gus and I were going back and forth on. Is he
where does he
in
label
the
him
linebacker
as?
room?
Yeah.
Is he in the edge rusher room? I mean, if Devin Lloyd's going to rush off the pass or rush the passer more, like he's a linebacker. But
yeah.
So where do you fall? And I don't think that really matters. They're all on the defensive side of the ball. But ultimately, that's who you got right now.
Yeah, because they didn't address it in the draft. And is there a defensive tackle out there that's just waiting to be plucked in free agency?
I was reading some of the ones that free.
Right,
yeah, right. I was looking at that. I'll have to find it. Maybe I can find it for our next segment, because I did find a list of like the free agents. There's some decent free agents still sitting out there. Nobody that you're counting on coming in and getting 6-7 sacks, but somebody that maybe can create something to help some of that, or at least some veteran help in the inside. I know Eric Armstead is that piece, but when it comes to the other names, when you're talking about a lot of young guys in Jordan Jefferson and Cole and Mason Smith, that's a lot of youngness that you're counting on being a big part of that interior.
One other piece of intel from Jeremy Fowler, we will hit that on the other side, as well as our Terminex Pest of the Day and Brooks Beats tickets coming your way. So much to do here on this Helmets and Heels Thursday on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Take the low line and make a slide job to the front row.
Right around the bottom, all the way through turn 1 and 2.
Sunday at Kansas, NASCAR is tuned up by Maxie's Mechanics on 1010XL.
Lauren Brooks here. It's the Cruise in the Summer event at Hodges Mazda at the Avenues. For a limited time, get up to $5,000 off a new 2024 Mazda CX-50 Preferred and receive a free 5-day cruise for 2 with your purchase. With off-road capability and this special offer, your summer adventure starts now. Hurry, 2024 Mazda CX-50 Preferred models are in limited supply at Hodges Mazda. Offer valid on new 2024 Mazda CX-50 Preferred only. MSRP $32,564. Must trade in a vehicle and finance through dealer to qualify for your discount. Cruise and vehicle availability limited. Travel taxes and fees additional. See dealer for details.
When it comes to your utility bill, JEA wants to help you use less so you can save more. We offer a variety of free programs, like efficiency and irrigation assessments that'll teach you ways to conserve energy and water around your home. Our alerts will let you know when your utility usage has reached a set amount, and our rebates can help you save when upgrading to more efficient appliances and equipment. Find even more ways to save at JEA.com.
The Sawgrass Marriott Golf Resort and Spa is the perfect place for indulging in a pampering spa treatment. This Mother's Day season, give the gift of wellness with a gift card and take advantage of the spa's current promotion. Buy a $75 gift card or more and guests get a credit towards a future service. With healing massages, revitalizing facial treatments, and more, a day at the Sawgrass Spa makes a perfect gift for everyone. Purchase in person at Sawgrass Spa during operating hours.
Too busy for Mother's Day? That's no excuse. Not when a simple call or online visit to Kuhn Flowers would do the trick. I'm RJ Saunders with 1010XL. Take care of your mother by ordering a floral arrangement today from Kuhn Flowers. KuhnFlowers.com.
If you miss an interview, it'll be waiting for you on demand.
Well, what are we waiting for?
Search where you find podcasts. And at 1010XL.com. Trained by Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. When you're stuck, call the Duck.
Prosser here for Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. With the weather starting to turn for the better, look ahead. Get that backyard ready for spring with a new screened-in enclosure. Maximize the space you have and make it great with Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. They truly are best in the business. If you have the space and the idea, give them a call today. Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Showroom just off Phillips Highway. Tell them Prosser sent you. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Want a simple way to boost your company's image without a big renovation? A fresh paint job in your brand's colors can increase recognition up to 80%. At Performance Painting, we help companies stand out with clean, on-brand finishes that impress clients and energize employees. From color consultations to low-odor coatings that won't disrupt operations, we've got you covered. Visit performance-painting.com to schedule a friendly estimate. Performance Painting. Prepare, protect, preserve.
Performance Painting.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor, outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Swing into the hottest party of the summer. Join First Tee North Florida at the Yards on June 12th for the Summer Soiree Baja Beach Bash. We're bringing the vibrant spirit of Cabo San Lucas to the First Coast for an evening of family-friendly fun. Enjoy live music, craft cocktails, golf games, raffle prizes, and delicious Mexican-inspired cuisine from Taco Lee. Golf, fiesta, and philanthropy, all to support the impactful programs of the First Tee. Visit firstteenorthflorida.org/summer soiree to secure your tickets today.
Attention business owners and property managers. Hurricane season is right around the corner. Is your property ready? Call the pros at Rooter for expert storm drain cleaning and hydrojetting. Our powerful VACCON truck clears the way so your drains flow freely when the rain hits. Call 904-862-6769 today to schedule your service and protect your property before the storms start rolling in. Rooter, your trusted name in storm drain maintenance. Visit us at duckduckrooter.com. We're a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Prosser here. It's a great time to sell your home, and I got just the people to sell it for you. Spring selling season is here. Rates are down, activity's up. Now's the best time in years to sell your home. Some homes are sitting on the market, though. Hiring an expert who can maximize your equity and minimize your hassle, that's the key. And I've been telling you who those experts are. Are you listening? I recommend Chad and Sandy Newman. Go to chadandsandy.com, the local real estate experts you can trust with the sale of your home. No required costly repairs. Pick your move date. There are no long-term contracts, and you can cancel at any time. So whatever problems you think you have, I've got you this promise. Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. There you go. Simple as that. Christopher on Anastasia Island. My home was too big for my needs. I wanted someplace smaller and easier to manage. I got multiple offers and sold in 3 days with Chad and Sandy. You can too at chadandsandy.com or 904-414-6200.
You've got a lot on your plate. The last thing you need is car trouble. At Maxie's Mechanics, we help you keep your cars, trucks, and SUVs running safely. Visit MaxieAutoRepair.com today for honest service, reliable repairs, and peace of mind for you and your family.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
of you have been waiting for who love country music. The tour is called Damn Country Music, and Riley Green is the headliner. He comes alongside Ella Langley, Drake White, Channing Wilson. The show is Friday, August 8th at ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena. Of course, you are listening to Riley Green sing There Was This Girl Right Now. This was his first major hit, and of course, the phone lines are already lit up because people are pumped. Caller number 4, 641-1010. Caller number 4, 641-1010. You win our first pair of tickets. If you don't win them, don't worry. We have 2 more pairs of tickets to give away. However, you can go online tomorrow morning at Ticketmaster.com. That's when the tickets go on sale, 10 a.m. tomorrow. Somebody is going to be, 3 different sets of people today are going to be very happy because I can tell you that these tickets are certainly not cheap.
And folks are probably happy around the world right now because, yes, in case you missed it, white smoke has emerged from the Vatican Sistine Chapel. A new pope has been elected. He will appear soon at the central window, allergies, of St. Peter's Basilica. I'm not going to lie, though, Taylor. Mm-hmm. As a practicing Catholic my whole life, my favorite part of this election cycle, yes, I'm going to refer to it in draft terms, have been the memes that have emerged.
The Cardinals.
The Cardinals pick is in. The Cardinals are on the clock. I was just telling Michelle, the queen of the building.
The 133rd pick.
Right. Exactly. Well done. I loved the one of Buc-ee's. There's smoke coming from Buc-ee's, and it's like, a new brisket sandwich has emerged. Like, what's the new selection? So, yeah, keep them coming,
It's like
folks.
when the Krispy Kreme sign is on, and you know they're fresh.
Absolutely. All right, one last piece of intel from Jeremy Fowler. The Jaguars got their coveted receiver help and more with the trade up to acquire Travis Hunter, essentially acquiring both of the Diggs brothers with the selection. As multiple scouts pointed out, Stephon Diggs, the wide receiver, and cornerback Trevon Diggs as comps. Had Jacksonville stayed put at number 5, some around the league believe receiver Tet McMillan would have been in play. New head coach Liam Cohen likes the idea of having ample reinforcements in that room, especially with the injuries he schemed around in Tampa last year.
No,
not Ted McMillan.
If they trade
Not the
back.
Diggs?
I think if they, the Diggs too. I want to get into that. Yeah, I also want to get into that because that's the first time I've ever heard.
Me too. I hadn't heard that.
I hadn't heard that either.
If the Jaguars had stayed and picked at 5, the pick was probably going to be Ashton Genty because their hand would have been forced based off of their scouting process. He was the only other blue talent, math changer player, regardless of position that they had. But if they had traded back, then maybe Tet McMillan, because they did like Tet.
Yeah.
That was an interesting one. Yeah, to the Diggs comp. The first time I've heard that.
How underwhelming does that seem now at this point? Like trading back to 15 for Tet rather than trading up for Travis Hunter. And we wouldn't have known. We wouldn't have known that you had, we wouldn't, because in most people's world, there was no way that was happening. So it wasn't like you would have been like, we could have traded up, but still, it would have been like, all right, we have Tet.
I thought you were saying the Diggs comp was underwhelming, because I mean, not going to lie, because when you said at this point, at this point of Stephon Diggs' career, that would be underwhelming, I think, for the number 2 overall pick.
But in his prime, certainly.
Correct.
Yeah.
And certainly with his brother, you just hope that Travis Hunter has, knock on all the wood you can find, a better history of injuries or lack thereof, compared to Trevon Diggs, who at his peak and when he's healthy, he is a top 10 corner, top 5 corner in the National Football League.
I think I'm finally letting myself believe the idea that Travis Hunter is going to be an impact player on both sides of the ball. I knew he was going to play some on defense. I certainly believed that. And Cameron Wolfe said in these words that they're going to have Travis Hunter major on offense, minor in defense. So that part I've known all along. It's more the idea that he can actually be a game changer when inserted in the defense. Like if he's an outside corner, if they play him at nickel, whatever it ends up being, I would imagine more outside corner in red zone type situations. That to me is the fact that I do think he'll have at least an interception this year to go along with everything he does at receiver. That gets me. Now I really have allowed myself to believe this is the Heisman Trophy winner that is going to be is going to be making impactful plays every single game on both sides of the ball.
If he's really Shohei Ohtani, everyone questions Shohei Ohtani, and
please don't get hurt
because of injuries. He's not pitching nearly as much, but.
Not at all this season, yeah.
But he's done it.
Sure.
If that comp, which could age very poorly for Andrew Berry and the Cleveland Browns, if that is who Travis Hunter becomes, people doubted Ohtani.
Yeah.
And pitchers get hurt. That is something, I don't know that we can say receivers and corners get hurt every single year and there's no, doubt about it. I don't know that it's always like that. There are certainly injuries that can happen, don't get me wrong. But a pitcher, like over the life of your career as a pitcher, you're most likely going to have injuries. I'm not saying always Tommy John, but at some point you're going to be injured.
Yeah, I wonder how much, and I agree, and I think we've all, especially since the way, I think it was Ty Dunn who wrote when it was like the specifics of certain situational.
Third down.
Yeah, and all of that. Because to me, that seems like they already have a plan. And previous, it was kind of like, okay, like he can do both, but how much of both are we going to see? What do the Jags want him to do? What does he want to do? I was talking to Dan Hicken this morning, and Dan Hicken's like, Travis Hunter is going to want to play defense. So they're not going to say no to him. They're going to let him do it. And obviously he can. So you are going to try and find ways to fit that in as much as you can at moments that benefit you the most. And I think that is what is going to be, it's going to be a challenge for Campanile, honestly, because he's going to have to figure out a way to let him be the man, a wide receiver number 2, because that's what you are on this roster at the moment. So, or we're hoping you can be. And so you're going to have to let him be that, but at the same time, pick the perfect situations to have him thrive and not make it to where we talk about wear and tear. You don't want this guy in 3 years to be just worn out and not be able to do anything. And we talk about it, the running backs. Running backs are getting hit over and over and over again. But now you're a defensive back hitting constantly, and then you're a receiver also trying to play that game. You don't want that wear and tear to become a factor in 3-4 years.
No, but this isn't asking a guy like a Miles Jack to play both running back and linebacker at the NFL level. Not that the Jaguars did that, but that's what Miles Jack did in college. This is totally different than that. There are so many times that Travis Hunter will be a decoy for whether it's Brian Thomas Jr., De'Ami Brown, or Parker Washington, who met Britton Strange. He's not going to get hit every single time playing receiver. And there are times cornerback-wise, too. If they avoid his side of the field, he's going to be covering a guy, but he's not going to be constantly taking that.
Still potentially 160 snaps of if we're talking about what he did in college. 160 snaps of football. That's a lot of football, no matter how hard you're getting hit or if it's every player.
I think he averaged like 120 snaps-wise at Colorado, and it won't be that many in the NFL.
I just, the one game, it was like 166.
And the counter, too, because I agree with Lauren, this idea, and I think that's philosophically why the Jaguars are okay with him playing both ways. The idea of linebacker, running back versus defensive back, wide receiver, a lot less hits.
Yeah.
But at the same time, more potential for soft tissue injuries. And so that's why I am very curious. And
which are the ones that linger.
I wonder, maybe
the hamstring.
There's a certain high-ranking executive down there at the Miller Electric Center who is a big heel again, and I've been trying to get him on the program for years. Ferg, I'm talking about you.
I always tell him to call in
because I'm fascinated to hear what this plan is, and I don't know if they can divulge all of it because of HIPAA and what have you, but I'm very curious to hear the fact that James Gladstone and Liam Cohen went to the training staff, they went to the medical staff, and they said, okay, if we were to do this, what is a realistic plan for Travis Hunter in year 1?
Yeah, and that's where they've consulted, obviously, the athletic trainers of the world, and certainly Ferg is a great resource for stuff like that. I'm sure that they're talking to people around the world, really, that are super experts in that type of field to see what level can we give him without burning him out, to your point. Yeah. All right, time now for our Terminex Pest of the Day, as always brought to you by our friends at Terminex. You can find them online at terminix.com. They take care of the pests, termites, mosquitoes at our house, just like they do at Everbank Stadium, at ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena, where Riley Green will be playing in August, as well as ViStar Ballpark, where the Jumbo Shrimp play. All right, so Jordan Lewis tweeted out yesterday after George Pickens was traded to the Cowboys, confirmation, God wanted me in Jacksonville. For people who forget, George Pickens at one point last season grabbed Jordan Lewis's face mask during a game and threw him to the ground. So that's what Jordan Lewis was referring to. But the pest of the day is the person who tweeted, and I'm not even going to give his name out because I don't want to give him any recognition, but this is the guy who tweeted back to Jordan Lewis this. Well, CJ Stroud about to hit you over the head for 300 plus a game. Be careful what you wish for. And then at the end of it said the B word, but that rhymes with which. Like, why do people have to be so rude online? I mean, just leave out that final word and then say whatever you want to say. But Jordan Lewis wasn't coming at anybody. He was just saying, yeah, I don't want to be on the same team as George Pickens.
Yeah, the problem is, and we've seen it here, when people talk about your team, defensiveness happens. I'm not saying in this room, but on Twitter, in the Twitter world of any team. And they were he was talking about not being with George Pickens, but to Dallas fans, it makes it feel like, oh, you didn't want to stay in Dallas.
Well, why is the Texans fan chiming in? Texans has nothing to do with this.
I don't know. Maybe they're a little confused, but that's a Texans fan for you, I guess. It is. I think that when you go back, and we were talking a lot about that George Pickens conversation yesterday and how that all kind of played out. It will be just interesting to follow along with anyway, to the point of, can he break that cycle of all of the craziness that's happened with the wide receivers that have left Pittsburgh after? But I don't know personally if it's the most functional organization to fix that.
The Cowboys.
Yeah, the Cowboys.
Because it's an organization that's taken chances on guys before, and, then what happens afterwards.
And everything, I feel like they've had teams that were absolutely loaded and couldn't win a playoff game.
Right, correct. Because the talent doesn't outweigh the personality
all of everything else.
And how everyone vibes together. I will just say this: people are mean online.
People are mean.
It's unfortunate, but it's reality. It sucks, but it is what it is. And I would also add that professional athletes who are very online are very aware that people are mean online, and they are engaging because second smoke reference of the hour. They want that smoke, not the white smoke coming out of the Vatican right now, folks. They want that smoke, and that's okay because some people find it to be a competitive advantage in professional sports. It gets their juices flowing. They're engaging. They understand what could potentially come from it.
Like you said, people are mean online, or some people are. Some people are nothing but positive, and those people are fine. I think it's fine to criticize. It's just another thing to throw stuff out like that.
Insults. That's what always bothers me inside. Like, if you disagree with me, that's fine. You can disagree. We all can have our own opinions. It's when people have to, throw the insults at you, and that's when I block and mute, because I'm like, you're not even worth my time at that point.
Exactly. All right, let's get it to college football. On the other side, Zach Abolverdi from Gators Online awaits. We will continue our post-spring practice college football tour. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010X on 92.5 FM.
Duval and defense.
The ball is out. The ball is out.
Things in Jacksonville.
Another sack for this Jacksonville defense.
Things on 1010XL.
Call 904-500-COOL. Ideal Conditions.
Ideal Conditions Heating and Air Conditioning is your go-to for all AC repairs and replacements. Just gas your AC. For exceptional service, call 904-500-COOL or visit idealconditionsjacks.com to schedule your estimate today.
Call 904-500-COOL.
Honk if you see us. Call for service.
Ideal Conditions.
Idealconditionsjacks.com.
Jimerson Burr is a full-service, Florida-based commercial law firm dedicated to helping businesses manage risk, maximize opportunities, and move their company forward. Jimerson Burr attorneys are business-oriented lawyers, equally comfortable as community leaders, private transaction counselors, or courtroom advocates. If you have a legal issue of any kind affecting your business, contact the firm at 389-0050 or jimersonfirm.com.
Summer in Jacksonville. Sun's out, flip-flops on, and whoa! Well, there goes Uncle Bob into the pool again. Protect your pool deck with Don't Slip Deck Coatings of Jacksonville. Their multi-layered slip-resistant coatings keep you on your feet, not on your backside. Durable, stylish, and way cheaper than an ER visit. Don't Slip Deck Coatings even has indoor options so your kitchen floor isn't a skating rink. Call 904-466-1839 for a free quote and follow Don't Slip Jacks on Facebook and Instagram.
Attention poker enthusiasts, get ready for unbeatable action at Best Bet with locations in Jacksonville, Orange Park, and St. Augustine. Dive into the excitement with $500 high hands every Friday and $1,000 high hands every Saturday. And save the dates for May's table game giveaways. $300 every 20 minutes on select Fridays and Saturdays. Want in on the action? Visit bestbetjacks.com for all the details. That's bestbetjacks.com.
Have you got concrete or asphalt rubble piling up? Arcosa Crushed Concrete will pay you for it and recycle it. They're just minutes from Everbank Stadium on Talleyrand. Call Arcosa Crushed Concrete and get paid for what you don't need. ArcosaCrushedConcrete.com.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On May 8, 1966, Baltimore Orioles outfielder future Hall of Famer Frank Robinson is the first ever to hit a home run outside of Baltimore's Memorial Park.
Are you struggling with hair loss? At IHRS, we understand because we've been there too. We're dedicated to finding the best solution tailored just for you.
My hair looks great. It was thinning, and IHRS restored my hair.
It's now fuller, it's thicker, voluminous. It's made me feel great.
With the latest technology and FDA-approved laser therapy, PRP, and non-surgical hair addition, we offer guaranteed solutions for men and women.
With over 35 years of experience, IHRS found a hair restoration for us
and we can find one for you.
For me.
For me.
And me too.
Visit hairforme.com or call 904-777-IHRS. Get a free microscopic analysis and get to the root of your problem. This $395 analysis is yours for free. Call 904-777-4477 now.
It's Work Zone Awareness Week, Florida. Every year, lives are lost in work zones because of speeding and distractions. When you see orange cones, remember, slow down, follow the signs, and stay focused. Workers are counting on you to get home safely, and so are their families. Let's work together to prevent crashes and save lives. A safety reminder from the Florida Department of Transportation. Slow your roll. Safety's the goal.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville. I always brag on what you guys have on-road and off-road. But, Greg, tell everybody about what's happening on the water, because you got loads of opportunity.
We do. We've got lots of boats in stock. We got the Honda 19-foot Fisher Runabout. We've got the Coach pontoons, all of them with that legendary Honda motor and legendary Honda reliability, which you always want when you're out on the water.
You could be cruising along the Intercoastal or out on the ocean, but check it out. Facebook page ready for all of you to see, Cycles of Jacksonville, or their showroom on Atlantic near Regency.
Are you looking for a place to outfit your truck or van? It's Catlin Truck Accessories. For 105 years and 4 generations, Catlin is the name you can count on. This is Keith Catlin, and we know trucks and vans too, from Lear toppers, ladder racks, van shelving, strobe lighting, roll and lock bed covers, and everything in between. If you want quality products and great customer service, there's only one name. It's Catlin.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
For 105 years, you can count on Catlin.
Checkmate Coatings. Your floor's missing piece. Premium flooring. Take our advice. Home business, affordable price. Driveways, pool decks, garage doors, beautiful patios, and more to explore. Checkmate Coatings. Your floor's missing piece.
The time to buy an emergency generator is before you need it, not when you're sitting in the dark. Storms happen in a hurry in Florida, so be prepared. Protect your family and property with American Electrical Contracting. Call them today, 737-7770.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555, Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line. Hello. Your floor's missing piece.
Brian Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you, joined now by Florida's Zach Abolverdi. Gators Online. Well, we're going to talk all things Florida. Gators Online senior reporter. Zach, since we spoke to you last, Florida's baseball team has really improved. The basketball team, the men's basketball team, won a national championship, and DJ Lagway started throwing a football. So now's a pretty good time to have you on.
Yes, a lot has changed since we last spoke.
You got that right.
Good things, too.
Yes, absolutely good things. I'm sure you had a great time in San Antonio, but let's turn our attention to football. And certainly DJ Lagway being able to throw the football is a big storyline. But I think an overlooked storyline might be just how good the offensive line is.
Yeah, no doubt. You know, obviously there's a lot to like about Florida's offense this year, and I think it does start with DJ. But you could make an argument for potentially 3 other positions on offense that they might be the strongest on that side of the ball. I think offensive line is in that discussion. I think running back is in that discussion. And even wide receiver. I mean, they generated probably the most buzz this spring because of the freshmen and J. Michael Sturdivant. But it starts up front. Obviously, if you have an offensive line that can block well and has depth, you can do almost whatever you want on offense. And this is going to be the best group that Florida's had in the trenches in several years. They're a solid 2 deep at every single position, and at some spots they're a 3 deep. And they just, you know, there's a lot to like about the group that they brought back. But I think, and I wrote about it actually this week, because I didn't necessarily realize this until it was pointed out to me that Florida actually ranked in the top 10 nationally last season in both pass protection and run blocking, according to Pro Football Focus, and where they graded the Gators out. So that is very good. Florida was the only SEC team in the country last season that graded out in the top 10 in both of those categories. So, and then you get, 4 of your 5 starters back, and then one guy that you're having to replace. I think the one that we all have pegged as that right tackle is Bryce Lovett, who was a, freshman All-SEC player last year. So, you got Jake Slaughter kind of leading that group as an All-American coming back. But you're right, the big uglies are looking good this year.
Hey, Zach, appreciate you hopping on with us. Big picture, and again, this is just one website's projections of the starting lineup. As we are amidst our spring swing here on Helmets and Heels, checking in with all of our state's college football programs and looking ahead to the summer and then the fall, easily, Florida, at least at OurLads.com, has the least amount of gold total transfers on the roster. Only one transfer projected in the starting lineup outside of, I think this is one of the kickers, but that's the punter, new punter, if we're including the specialists, which specialists matter too. Point being, for the first time in Billy Napier's tenure, correct me if I'm wrong, does it feel like this is a veteran squad because of homegrown talent versus bringing in these free agents, if you may, through the transfer portal, Band-Aid fixes because of where perhaps Florida either did have holes already prior to Napier arriving or swung and missed in the in the recruiting ranks?
This is really the first time that Florida has not had to dip into the transfer portal as much to rely on players. And they will still have some transfers in the starting lineup. I mentioned J. Michael Sturdivant from UCLA. He is definitely going to start for the Gators this season. And then they've got some guys on defense that are previous transfers, like a Pup Howard, obviously, that came over from South Carolina. But outside of that, I don't really see any of the new transfers that were added starting. But again, they didn't add a lot, this year. And that, I think, speaks to your point about the fact that they have kind of developed this roster now. They've got the recruits that they signed from the high school ranks that have now developed, have had a couple of years in the system, and are now ready to either step in the starting roles or maintain them. And that's honestly where you want to be as a football program and as a roster personnel-wise. You don't want to have to go in there and sign double-digit transfers every offseason and try to replace multiple starters on both sides of the ball with new pieces that you're just trying to plug in and haven't really had time to develop in the system. So from that standpoint, the Gators are in a really good spot, and it is nice that really J. Michael Sturdivant is the only guy that they really had to address from a transfer standpoint this offseason, where they needed to go get somebody. And really, that's only because the two guys that they lost were also both transfers, Shamir Dike and Elijah Badger. So you would look at that addition-subtraction and think, okay, well, Florida should have went out and got 2 receivers this offseason, which a lot of people thought that they needed to do. They didn't. They only went and got 1 because they feel good about, Aiden Mizell and certainly the freshmen that they signed, Dallas Wilson, Vernell Brown III. And again, that's where you want to be as a team and as a roster building, from a recruiting standpoint.
Zach, when we talk about Russ Callaway, because obviously co-offensive coordinator last year, now taking over that offensive coordinator role, what are the expectations with him taking over and what that offense could look like with him at that position now?
Well, Billy's still going to call the plays, but I do think that Russ is going to continue to take on more responsibilities. He already did that last year to kind of earn this, co-offensive coordinator title, because last year he was just co-OC, but he was running the unit meetings. He was obviously putting together the game plan with Billy. He was signaling in plays from the sideline. And I, have reported and we've been told from sources that there were times last season that he actually did call plays. And I would expect that to increase with his role increasing. I still, we've still been told, and it's been made very clear to us that that Billy will be the primary play caller, but could we see Russ in some situations where he's potentially calling the 2-minute offense? Could we see him in some situations where he's calling the red zone offense? Maybe some third down opportunities that he'll get a chance. So there's obviously a reason why he has stayed at Florida. He's had other opportunities to go to the NFL. He's probably had other opportunities where he was able to be sole play caller, and he's decided to stay at Florida and stay with Billy. And I think, Billy has come out and said at one point that he would like to groom somebody for this role to where he just at some point hands them the keys and he's no longer the primary play caller. And it's very clear to me that Russ is the guy that he's, trying to get to that point. And I think that this season we'll just see him take another step in that direction. And eventually we'll get the keys to the offense. It just won't be this year.
Zach, have you yet to see DJ Lagway throw a ball to Dallas Wilson? Because obviously in the spring game down in Gainesville, we got to see it with our own eyes, just how good Dallas Wilson's going to be. But that was obviously not with DJ Lagway throwing him the football.
Yeah, I have not seen that happen before. It's interesting. It definitely probably happened after Dallas enrolled. And, I want to say that was in late January. He probably caught some balls from DJ before he shut it down. So I would imagine that has happened a little bit, but certainly not in a team setting, 11-on-11 setting. So that will be exciting once they get to that point. And I would imagine at some point they're going to be doing OTAs here in June, and maybe we'll get some clips, circulating on social media, those guys airing it out.
You can find Zach on X at Zach, that's Z-A-C-H, Abolverdi, A-B-O-L-V-E-R-D-I on X, the Bird Machine, Twitter, whatever you are calling it these days. Let's flip it on over to the defensive side of the ball, Zach. As we alluded to, no new starters. That is wild. I've seen...
Well, Jamari Lyons did, to interrupt you, Mia, sorry. Jamari Lyons was the one who had the season-ending injury in August last year and now is projected as a starter, but we didn't get to see him at all in 2024.
And even then, his top 2 to 3 backups, depending on what depth chart you want to look at, are all returners as well. So even if he's not starting, the guy behind him is also a returner to the Florida program. So, Zach, tell me this, especially looking at some of the way too early NFL draft projections that have Caleb Banks as a potential top 10 pick, you tell me, what's the ceiling for this Gators defense?
If they can get back healthy, they've got a chance to be a really good unit and kind of the type of defense that we saw toward the end of the season where they were playing their best ball of the year and they were still decimated by injuries. So I am excited to see what this group could look like at full strength. I hope that we get to see that because, there is a couple guys that are still have injuries lingering heading into fall. However, there is a lot to like about the pieces that they bring back. It does start with Caleb Banks, who did miss the spring, and Tyreek Sapp, who was their, a leader last year in sacks and tackles for loss. And I mentioned the PFF grades earlier. Tyreek Sapp had a 90 PFF grade last season, which was the highest for a Florida defender since Jonathan Grenard in 2019. PFF is pretty strict with their grades. They do not give out 90 overall grades to many players for a season. So that was very impressive that Tyreek Sapp earned that. There is some new pieces though. Not anybody new to the roster, but some new guys stepping into starting roles. Because you have obviously Jack Pyburn and TJ Searcy, who were their top 2 outside linebackers last year. They're both gone. I think George Gums Jr. is going to be the guy that steps into that starting role. But you're going to see LJ McCray, I think, a lot as well at that outside linebacker spot. And there's a lot of excitement for him, former 5-star recruit. This is kind of his year to kind of break out in that defense. I mentioned Pup Howard being back as a starting middle linebacker. He was out in the spring with an injury, so Jaden Robinson got a lot of work. But the other guy that they lost, Shamar James, left early for the NFL. And Miles Graham, he will be their starter at will linebacker. He has kind of taken on a leadership role this offseason, tried to be a little bit more vocal, And there's a ton of excitement for him and what he can bring. And then there'll be a little bit of competition there in the secondary. Dijon Johnson, who was obviously in the news this week, and then Cormani McClain, they'll be battling for one of those starting cornerback roles. And really excited to see, what the secondary could look like now that they've got some guys with experience. So, Ron Roberts is also back calling the defense, which I think is a big deal. And I don't know how many folks know this, but he was actually on the field for the first 3 games of the season last year calling plays, and then he moved up to the box at Mississippi State. And Starkville was the first time that he called plays from the box. Then he did it that way the rest of the season and was clearly better calling plays from the box than he was on the field, and he said that. So they kind of got that figured out, and I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what they can do now with the full offseason of setting it up that way.
Do you think because obviously you mentioned TJ Searcy and Jack Pyburn both hitting the portal, what has Billy Napier spoke on when it comes to in terms of that? Does he want to just continue? He didn't really want to go outside, or did he just felt strong enough about the guys he already had in the room?
No, they did add a transfer at that position. They added Kofi Asari from UMass, who will play, no doubt. And I think being the rotation, it's just George Gums is just, I would argue he might be one of their best finds and signings out of the transfer portal. I mean, a guy that literally played tight end at Northern Illinois, and they he moved positions his second or third year there, I guess his second year. So he's really only played defense for 1 year, and he comes over to Florida last year, and I think he finished second in sacks and tackles for loss behind Tyreek Sapp. So now he steps into this starting role, and then you got L.J. McCray, who's obviously, you need him to kind of break out and be a big player for you on defense. So like we were talking about earlier, because of other guys that they've signed and developed, they weren't able to go out and get a transfer that could just step in and start. They've kind of already have guys that have been waiting in the wings and kind of waiting on their turn, and now's their time to shine. So it's a good problem to have. To be honest, that position that we're talking about, it's outside linebacker / jack. They call it the jack position. It literally is going to be a 4-man rotation because you got George Gums, you got L.J. McCray. I mentioned Kofi, the transfer, but then Jaden Woods, a freshman from Kansas. He probably was one of the biggest storylines in the spring. There was no freshman that coaches and players raved about more than Jaden Woods. Tyler Miles straight up came out and said he's going to play as a freshman. So they are 4 deep at that spot, which is also why, as much as it sucked to lose Pyburn and Searcy, they are not hurting that much there because of the depth that they got at that spot.
Okay, Zach, I know our time is short, but I have to sneak a basketball question in for the Heeligans.
By the way, real quick, didn't Pyburn leave because it was going to be a rotation there on third down?
He needed to be guaranteed.
He wanted to be guaranteed.
He wanted to be guaranteed he would be on the field for X amount of third down snaps.
Right. So that's why when people are like, "Why did Pyburn leave?" Like that's exactly why, because it's going to be a rotation.
That was part of the stipulation of what he wanted in his next school, and evidently he believes he's found that.
Yeah.
The Boogie Flan rumors, are they true? Is there really a $7 million potential NIL deal? Okay,
that's
all right.
Not true.
Okay,
that's
all right.
Not true.
Is the secret meeting in New York that Todd Golden may have had with a potential transfer portal target? Do you believe there's smoke to that?
No, Florida is 100% involved with Boogie Flan. We've reported that at Gators Online. He's obviously going through the draft process, so that's kind of where we're at. We got the NBA Combine coming up next week, so we're kind of just in a wait-and-see mode. He's going to go through that and see what his prospects look like and decide if he wants to stay in the draft or return to college. And if he does return to college, Florida's going to be in the mix there. They've definitely been in contact with him. He's not the only one that is in this same boat. They're also talking to Ben Henschel, the Australian professional basketball player who's also declared for the draft, but could also pull out. And if he does, he might consider playing college basketball and doing what a lot of international players have done, And he played with he played with Alex Condon in Australia. They're from the same area. They've actually been training together in California. So Florida's got some options there. They just got to figure out, who is not going to turn pro, and who kind of makes sense in terms of filling that spot. But it's exciting times for the Florida basketball program because, obviously everyone's beaming from that championship, but they're also rebuilding this roster, and it's been pretty exciting to see it play out.
Well, Zach, 4 months from today, Florida will have Long Island and South Florida in the books football-wise, and then the gauntlet begins at LSU, at Miami, Texas at home, at Texas A&M. That's the next 4 games on that football schedule.
Wow. Yeah, life's going to come at them pretty fast.
You got that right. Well, Zach, we so appreciate your time. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you all for having me.
Of course. Yeah, there's a lot going on in the world of Florida athletics. Yesterday, the softball team lost in extra innings to Ole Miss. We mentioned the baseball team on like a 15-3 tear since Florida men's basketball won the national championship. And Todd Golden getting that extension, didn't even get to talk to Zach about that. But certainly a lot going on down in Gainesville in that football program. The reason I wanted to ask him if he's seen DJ Lagway throw the ball to Dallas Wilson is because we have heard Dallas Wilson might be the best receiver on this team. Mm-hmm. But he hasn't yet really had a ton of work with the quarterback.
Which, of course, the critique of one Trevor Lawrence that we've seen on the text line a time or two in the last few months has been, well, he didn't even throw to BTJ that much. So
right, look, I get it. It can be a critique, or it can be a criticism, or it can be a good thing too. Maybe it'll unlock even more from Brian Thomas Jr.
Exactly. And from Trevor Lawrence, for that matter as well. Because the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season, BTJ was just getting his sea legs under him. And ultimately, look, Dallas Wilson may be the most talented wide receiver on this roster. He is still 18 years old.
Yeah. Sure. And you've got the transfer, like you mentioned, in Sturdivant. You've got Trey Wilson. You've got Vernell Brown, the third, another receiver.
Another 18-year-old. But
guy.
Hey, listen, I mean, with Mizell having enough pelts on the wall now at this point in time, Trey Wilson, are you in or are you out, Lauren?
I love Trey Wilson, but I think Dallas Wilson's better. Like after having gone to Gainesville and seeing Dallas Wilson in person, like look out.
Which
and that's
2 years ago we thought Trey Wilson was the best player on the roster.
Dallas Wilson, though, has the size that Trey Wilson doesn't have. Trey Wilson's very fast, but so is Dallas as well. All right, we've got more Brooks Beats tickets coming your way for Riley Green coming to Jacksonville in August. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Life is a contact sport. Get in the game with 1010XL. Jacksonville Sports Radio.
It's May, and that means it's Founders Month here at Sonny's Barbecue. Every Wednesday, we're celebrating with $7 pork big deal served with a sidekick and a drink, or one of our pork and rib combos for just $11. It's our way of saying thanks for letting us be your local pitmasters. So stop in for great deals on the Q you crave. Founders Month specials at Sonny's Barbecue. Local pitmasters since '68.
Moms, they're the greatest. From childhood, they're the ones always looking out for you so you don't forget Mom on Mother's Day. And the place to go for memory-making gift ideas is Golden Diamonds Direct. They're in the Publix Plantation Plaza on Racetrack Road, and they've got a ton of great gift ideas for Mother's Day. Super easy to make Mom smile when she sees what you've picked out. Countless pieces of handcrafted jewelry, plus gift wrapping too. It's all at Golden Diamonds Direct on Racetrack Road in the Publix Plantation Plaza.
1010XL Draft Profiles are brought to you by River City Screens.
The Teal and Black look to make a statement in round 1 of the draft, and they wouldn't disappoint as they traded up to secure the number 2 pick, selecting Travis Hunter of Colorado, a two-way star unlike anything the NFL has seen in the modern era, viewed as both the best corner and receiver in the draft class. James Gladstone has excited the squad and fan base with this selection, feeling that Hunter won't only alter the team, but the entire sport as we know it.
All right, fellas, I got to brag a little. I'm down 40 pounds thanks to Awaken 180 weight loss and keeping it off.
That's cute, Matt. I'm down 110 pounds. That's like losing a Backstreet Boy.
Okay, so I'm the rookie here. I just started, but I'm already down 13 pounds, and let me tell you, it feels good to see the results already.
That's the thing, man. Awaken 180 works. No shots, no meds, no gimmicks, just real food, real support, and real results.
The support team is a game changer because we all know it's so easy to get distracted. But with Awaken 180, you get your own coach and a plan that works with your lifestyle.
And free support for life.
Plus, no gym workouts required, which is great because let's be honest, I wasn't running wind sprints either.
25, 40, even 110 pounds. If we all can do it, so can you. Call 844-346-1800 or visit awaken180weightloss.com.
That's 844-346-1800 or awaken180weightloss.com.
Home of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
My son had a meniscus surgery a couple years ago. When it's smooth as silk, Dr. Kevin Murphy did it. Was playing tennis in 2 weeks. This is Patrick Malarkey, and I highly recommend
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
David Garrard here. I've had the PRP treatment from Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, and my knees are really doing well. Platelet-rich plasma treatment may be the answer for whatever is hurting you.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
The Peace Lily is so last year. Hey, has anyone worked with fiddlenecks?
Shelby's popular flower shop is in full bloom.
We just got a request for an arrangement that evokes air. Who's up for that challenge? No?
She needs to hire a floral designer to nip foliage faux pas in the bud.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our advanced matching helps find talented candidates so you can connect with them fast. Redeem your $75 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Get ready. Welcome to Rockville is gearing up to take over the Daytona International Speedway from May 15th to 18th with Green Day,
Sometimes I give myself that.
Korn, Shinedown, and Linkin Park. Plus Bad Omens, Incubus, Good Charlotte, Rob Zombie, Alice in Chains, Pierce the Veil, Marilyn Manson, 3 Days Grace, Sublime, Hailstorm, I Prevail, Three Doors Down, Jimmy Eat World, Motionless in White, Bush, Chevelle, Mudvayne, and so many more. Welcome to Rockville. North America's largest rock festival is finally here. May 15th to the 18th in Daytona Beach. 5 stages, 4 days, and over 150 bands. Select passes on sale now at welcometorockville.com.
Spring is in the air. Time to wake up your lawn with Heroes Lawn Care. Say goodbye to pesky mosquitoes with their organic and spray treatments. Perfect for outdoor fun. Keep your lawn clean and fresh with their pet waste removal for homes and businesses. Heroes Lawn Care takes care of it all. From mowing, edging, fertilizer, to irrigation, and much more. Visit heroeslawncare.com.
Are you thinking about a pool for your home? Blue Haven Pools is Jacksonville's largest pool builder. They've built pools for over 20,000 satisfied families since 2000. It's never been easier to design the perfect pool for your home, family, and budget. Call Blue Haven Pools today at 904-620-0090 to get a free in-home estimate for your in-ground pool, or visit bluehaven.com. Don't let another summer pass by without a pool. Join thousands of happy Jacksonville pool owners in a Blue Haven pool.
I'm Max Fink with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update, brought to you by Clay Solar Installation Partners. The Florida Panthers have gone down to an early deficit in the Eastern Conference semifinals as they lost Game 2 last night 4-3. Panthers forward Brad Marchand, who's had plenty of experience facing the Maple Leafs in the playoffs from his time with the Boston Bruins, spoke on how the Leafs have improved in this year's playoffs compared to the previous year's teams he's faced.
You know, they brought a lot of good pieces in, you know, in the offseason to kind of address their back end. You know, they're heavy back there, and obviously their coaching has changed, and their structure is very, very good right now, especially in the D zone. You know, they don't give up a whole lot around the net. So, yeah, we knew it was going to be a really tough battle. We didn't expect to roll over them by any means. So, you know, we have our work cut out. They're playing really well, and obviously their top guys are capitalizing on every opportunity, it seems like.
It's 84 degrees at 103. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
some Riley Green fans out there.
Immediately call it.
Yeah, in Jacksonville, because the phone line's already lit up. I haven't even said what we're doing or what caller number, but yes, y'all are smart. It is the Damn Country Music Tour. I didn't know if I could say damn on the air until today, but I had to go with it because that's the name of the tour. Riley Green comes to town. He is coming alongside Ella Langley, Drake White, and Channing Wilson, which I've seen Drake White multiple times. I love Drake White, too. Excited to see Ella Langley for the first time. The concert comes up Friday, August 8th at VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena. Caller number 1, I'll give you the fastest dialer of these tickets, 641-1010. I don't even need to say the number because you're already on the line. But if you don't win the tickets, don't worry. We have one more pair to give away. But also, they go on sale tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., Ticketmaster.com. Again, that is Friday, August 8th, VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena.
A slew of breaking news here in the last 10 minutes around the sports world. RJ, let's hit it.
Yeah, RJ's trying to hit
I'm sorry, RJ. I will do it.
Breaking news.
You want to start in the world of baseball or the NFL, ladies?
Let's knock the baseball out quickly and then get to the NFL.
The Pittsburgh Pirates. I'm sorry, Frank Frangie. I'm legally required to read this. Fired manager Derek Shelton following a 12-26 start that has them in last place in the NL Central. Don Kelly, the former big leaguer who is their bench coach, is the team's interim manager.
Yeah, no surprise there, just the way that obviously the Pirates have started. And look, it's unfortunate because I think the Pirates fans, and talking to Frank, didn't think this season would go that well, honestly. But they're just so excited about what Paul Skeens can do that they hoped that maybe the offense could do enough to help them be better than 12-26. That's not the case. Maybe Clint Hurdle reunion with the Pirates.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. Speaking of former major leaguers, Taylor, what do the Pirates have besides Paul Skeens? As our resident NL Central
and I was
fan.
talking about that with Frank the other day. I was like, they have two of the most exciting players in baseball right now. The problem is there's not much aside from that. And watching, obviously, Paul Skeens is incredible, but O'Neal Cruz is so much fun to watch, especially fielding. Just watching him out in the field he's just one of those guys that brings so much energy, and he's fast, and he makes these incredible plays constantly.
And he's 6'7".
He's massive. When the Cubs play them, every time there was anything hit to center field, he covers pretty much the entire, because he's so big, he can cover the majority of center field. So you have to hit it out or hit it short almost to keep it away from him. But that's about it. And it does stink, because I think that when you have two guys like that, who if Paul Skeens was on a good team right now, or O'Neal Cruz was on a good team right now, they'd be talked about way more than they probably are. Skeens still will be, because he throws 103 miles per hour plus. But I do think he's still, I still don't think people are talking about him as much either as they were even maybe at the end of last year.
I'm biased, but pretty good number 2 in Mitch Keller, Cedar Rapids Xavier graduate. And Andrew McCutchen is still playing baseball, by the way.
He sure is. And Andrew McCutchen still has moments in there. Tommy Pham has been bad.
But he's there.
That's why he's moved around to.
But he's there.
He's moved around to what? At least 7 teams. Tommy Pham.
Yeah,
I would imagine at least 7. I'd have to count them up.
I saw a list the other day, and it was like the best one side of it was a list of all the best position players in baseball. And then the other side was the worst position players in baseball, like at each position. And the Pirates had 3 of them, 3 of the worst players, and at that specific position at the time. And so it may have changed, but Tommy Pham was one of them.
Here are his teams: Cardinals, Rays, Padres, Reds, Red Sox, Mets, Diamondbacks, White Sox, Cardinals, Royals, Pirates.
Is Tommy Pham the new Josh Johnson? Many are asking. Speaking of Josh Johnson in the NFL, I don't think Josh Johnson has played for the Panthers yet. Has he played for Carolina yet? I don't think so. I think that's one of like the 12 teams he hasn't played for at this point in his NFL career. A doubleheader, we'll call it, of breaking news amidst the awaiting in the Vatican right now for the next pope. You knew there was going to be one sports team that was going to drop a news dump in the middle of the white smoke billowing and folks crowding Vatican Square as we speak at around 7 p.m. local time over in Europe.
Josh Johnson has played against the Carolina Panthers,
but never has played.
But has not played for them, and he has way more teams than Tommy Pham does.
Jonathan Brooks has not played for the Carolina Panthers either after being drafted by them. He was placed on the PUP list just moments ago, which means that he will miss the entire 2025 season. Of course, he had a second ACL tear in as many years last year after being drafted out of Texas in the 4th round, I believe it was, by the Panthers. And so obviously a disappointing a disappointing tenure so far for someone who many believe could have been a first-round talent.
Yeah, 9 carries, 22 yards is his stat sheet. Poor guy.
Yeah,
Second, like you said, second ACL tear. That's miserable.
And more stats, though, than Josh Johnson. I'm just kidding. And the big news. This is the big one. This is where our conversation, I believe, will pivot. The Panthers have released pass rusher Jadeveon Clowney, a native of South Carolina in Rock Hill, right where the Carolina Panthers have their training camp and their summer, their program in the summer and their offseason a little bit as well. Jadeveon Clowney, Jaguar fans, yes? No?
Based off of what they've told us, Mia, that we've talked about a lot, James Gladstone said he doesn't want the veteran guys to get in the way of rookie guys. I mean, in 2023, when he played for the Ravens, Clowney had 9.5 sacks. Last season, playing for the Panthers, 5.5 sacks. Like, you'd love that production coming from your third edge rusher. I just think
or
because
your fourth, because you already signed Ogba.
Yeah, I was going to say, you already have Ogba. I think they like Jalen McLeod based off of, where they drafted him. And so I don't think it makes sense for them. But if you're asking from a fan perspective, would the fans enjoy it? I mean, Clowney at his best is a game wrecker. I just don't know that now that he's 32, that he's still at his best.
Yeah, and that's what I think that he'll make an impact where he goes because he has 5.5, 9.5. He had the 1 year with 2 sacks. He was injured that year, 9 sacks. He's never hit double-digit sacks, so that's one thing. Clowney's never been able to surpass that double-digit number, but he's always been able to provide something, and that's what I think. For me, this is more of a team which it fits the Jags if they didn't make some of the moves they did this offseason already. To me, it's a team that still needs that true rotational, probably number 3 pass rusher that doesn't have to be out there all the time, can be out there in situational downs. I think that's how they kind of used him in Carolina last year, honestly. But 5.5 sacks there, and it's not like it was a really good defense where he was surrounded by a ton of pieces. And the year before with 9.5 in Baltimore, that just indicates how good Baltimore was defensively. And when you have that many people who are able to get to the quarterback, it helps you a little bit. But I do think a team that needs a rotational guy that is just counting on like 4 or 5 sacks from somebody, I think Jadeveon Clowney is a perfect fit for that.
Yeah,
he's 32, I think. So he's like,
if the Jags hadn't signed Ogba, I think I would be right now being like, bring Clowney to Jacksonville. Yeah. And look, I saw Jadeveon Clowney in college in person when South Carolina played Clemson, and he had some crazy number, like over 5 sacks in the game, something along those lines, around 5 sacks in just one game. He was someone I thought projected really well at the next level. Like you said, never got to double-digit sacks. He's had 9.5 twice and 9. So
he's also never made it through a season, and that's been a problem.
Yeah, that certainly is.
I think maybe one season, actually.
Yeah. By the way, this was breaking news yesterday, but Cam Rising, the quarterback, certainly out of Utah, medically retiring after 7 seasons. Here's what's the crazy part for people who haven't followed his career closely. He was in the 2018 recruiting class alongside the likes of Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Micah Parsons, and Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah.
Trevor's going into his 5th season in the NFL this year, and Cam Rising was potentially going to play another year in college.
Morgan Scalley is the head coach in waiting out at Utah as the defensive coordinator. Something tells me they will name the head coach in waiting to the head coach in waiting, and it will be Cam Rising.
All right, we will.
Well, they said he got a job high school already.
Yeah, but give it some time. Give it some time.
I feel bad for him.
I mean, James Gladstone was once in high school as a coach. Yeah. You can't ascend from that.
I feel bad for guys like that who the injuries just ruin everything.
And it's not just
hand injury. And for him, like a hand too, like that you're a quarterback. Like
First it was shoulder, then was it knee, something like that, and then the laceration of the hand last year. All right, let's get it back to college football. Miles Garrett of Atlanta, not the Miles Garrett of Cleveland, will join us next as our post-spring practice college football tour continues. We will talk dogs with Miles next on Helmets and Heels on 1010XL on 92.5 FM.
Hello, sports fans.
Dan Hicken.
I'm expressing my inner anguish to the majesty of song.
Mornings.
I'm a hot habanero pepper right now.
On 1010XL.
You don't understand a word I'm saying, do you?
92.5 FM.
It's science.
Mia here for Closets by Design. It's been a few months since they built my custom closet organization system, and I cannot say enough about how happy I am with it. With Mother's Day around the corner, I've been thinking about how much energy goes into caring for everyone else and how little time we take to create spaces that care for us. Most people start and end their day by visiting their closet, so shouldn't that space feel calm, organized, like a little moment of luxury? Hey, moms deserve to feel taken care of too. So call Closets by Design to schedule your free in-home consultation and to receive 40% off plus an additional 15% off right now. 1-800-293-3744 or visit closetsbydesign.com.
that craving again. How about some Mr. Chubby's wings?
Have you had the Chubby style wings? Grilled to perfection with Chubby's secret seasoning.
You know I have. They are so delicious. I swear you can't find anywhere in town with better wings and better prices on drinks.
So many different specials each night, too. Well, I'm ready to chub it up again.
Me too.
See all their specials at MrChubby'sWings.com. Locations on Fleming Island, the West Side, and now Ponte Vedra Beach. Mr. Chubby's Wings, before the game, after the game, and during the game.
Here's Linda Beaver.
At Beaver Chevrolet, we believe your experience should be more than just buying a car. It should be a lifetime of confidence, care, and trust. That's why we're proud to offer lifetime warranties and lifetime customer service. At Beaver Chevrolet, we're not just here to sell you a car. We're here to establish a lifelong relationship that you can always count on. It's simple. You deserve the best and shouldn't settle for less. Visit Beaver Chevrolet in Jacksonville, where we're ready to give you a peace of mind for a lifetime.
Go ahead and dial it.
Dial what? When you call in your opinion or hear an interesting interview from a sports insider on Jaguars Today or XL Primetime, you're getting it straight from the Checkmate Coatings phone line all day, every day on 1010XL.
Hi, I'm Karen, owner of Clay Solar Installation Partners, your local women-owned solar company. At Clay Solar, we're more than just panels and power. We're about people. We make the switch to clean energy simple, stress-free, and built to last. If you've had a bad experience with solar in the past, we can help. We specialize in dependable solutions and top-notch customer service, so you can finally enjoy the savings and sustainability you deserve. Schedule your free consultation at claysolar.com.
Celebrate Mom with a unique experience this Mother's Day at Wick, a candle bar. Make her own custom candle with over 90 fragrances at Wick, a candle bar in San Marco and Jacks Beach.
A lot of companies will tell you they're the best. At Custom Tree Surgeons, they show you every time. Custom Tree Surgeons has built an all-pro team. Every tree service professional has years of experience, continually trained and certified. They know what, when, and how to handle any job. It gets done efficiently and quickly by a team of experts. So for tree trimming, removal, stump grinding, and emergency services, forget any name other than Custom Tree Surgeons. There is no job they can't do better. Go to website CustomTreeSurgeons.com. That's CustomTreeSurgeons.com. And let them show you how the job is supposed to get done.
We're certainly facing interesting economic times. For me, it's comforting to know my money's in good hands with ITP Partners. Jacksonville guys taking care of my Jacksonville money. Experience? Yeah, that's Chris Bryan, Jeff Hartman, Reagan Wright, Dan Abel, Scott Regner, Janice Cobb, and Reed Wingate. They have the expertise and knowledge to take care of your money. For more info, go to ITPPartners.com. ITP Partners, they're my financial partners for life.
Non-compensated client testimonial may not be representative of all client experiences. No guarantee of future performance or success.
I'm Stacy, and I want to tell you about my fogged up window fiasco at my house. I called up Mac at Baker Glass. He told me all I needed was a glass replacement. The process was so easy. All within a few days, they came out, measured, called me with an estimate, cut my glass, and came out to install the new ones. Now my view outside is fog-free thanks to Mac and his crew at Baker Glass. And my neighbors think I got some fancy new windows.
I'm back with Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
Right now, they're on their way to disrupt your life, make you uncomfortable, and rob you. Don't bother calling the police. They can't help. That's right. Summer heat and humidity are about to attack North Florida again. You know what to do. Call Mike Merritt. Mike Merritt's Heating and Air has a license to chill. When heat and humidity are attacking you, Mike Merritt provides a comfortable chill at a bargain price. Mike has been keeping North Florida comfortable for 30 years. Mike Merritt technicians are never paid commissions, meaning you'll never be pressured to buy something you don't need. And Mike Merritt knows cooling issues can arise anytime. They don't just happen during business hours. So Mike Merritt never charges overtime fees. When you need us, we're here for you. Remember, in the fight against heat and humidity, Mike Merritt has a license to chill. Visit merrittair.com. Florida license number CACO 50384.
Hi, I'm Sean Monahan from Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. Since 1977, we've been Jacksonville's local family jeweler, and this Mother's Day, we'd like to help you celebrate Mom with up to 40% off our entire inventory. GIA certified natural diamonds and lab-grown diamonds, beautiful colored gemstones, designer brands, custom jewelry design. And Monahan Jewelers offers interest-free financing on any purchase. So get something special with a payment you can afford. Come celebrate Mom with fine jewelry at up to 40% off at Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
If you're tired of weekend projects turning into weekend disasters, you're not alone. Building a fence isn't as easy as it looks. And let's face it, your neighbor still hasn't fixed his lopsided masterpiece. But Superior Fence and Rail makes it easy. Highly trained professionals, top quality materials, and a fence you'll love for years to come. Skip the stress and call the pros today.
When you're on the fence, about a fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Everyone seems to be in a time crunch these days. Well, don't forget you can always count on the cold case at Daly's. Always convenient, always cold. Whether it's the king of beers, Natty Light, Stella, or Cigar City, or Goose Island, or Bud Light Seltzer, dash into Daly's and grab one to go.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line. Hello. Your floor's missing piece.
1, 2, 3, my baby don't mess around.
We have a new pope, but more importantly, we have the same Miles Garrett on the Checkmate Coatings hotline. Long time no chat with our friend from Fox 5 up in Atlanta as our spring swing continues. I think you're bigger than the Pope. Come on now, your name's Miles Garrett. What's up,
Spelled correctly with an I. You got it. How we doing?
Hey, doing great. I know you are as busy as there is a sports reporter in the country right now between the Braves emerging from the worst 3-game start to a season ever known to humanity, or at least the airwaves of 1010XL. Our Braves fan contingent here, a little viral just with, their dismay. But the Braves have turned it around, Miles, and of course you have it locked down on the Atlanta Falcons and as the home of Georgia Bulldog football. We're excited to talk dogs with you. Big picture here, expectations for Kirby Smart and the crew, especially after how last season ended in the SEC championship game.
Yeah, no, this is a pretty interesting year for Kirby Smart because he's done it before, right? As far as rebuilding and losing guys to the NFL and retooling for the next run at a playoff potential there. But this year, you lose a lot of guys on the defensive side and you lose the quarterback as well. Carson Beck obviously going down to Miami. You got Gunnar Stockton now who played in a game and a half in the Sugar Bowl and, of course, the SEC championship. Performed fairly well, but, of course, that job isn't officially locked down yet. And then, you got all the defensive guys and the wide receivers. It's a very young group, guys who have had some experience at some degree, but not necessarily a starting level. So it's going to be a really interesting year for Georgia because it's kind of one that you don't really know what you're going to get until the game action starts. We saw them in the spring game, but that doesn't really give you a whole lot of information until the whistle really blows there in the fall.
Miles, I want to go back to a comment for a second that Kirby Smart made back in March, and when he was saying that the players are they've got to get in shape. I think he called them slow. There were some things, they were tired, and he was kind of hinting at that it's hard to coach some of these new young players that are coming in. But we were having a debate at the time of whether that was Kirby just trying to light a fire under some of these guys and get more out of them, or if it was Kirby just kind of being Kirby and expressing his true feelings about some of the state of college football right now.
It's funny. I've been asked this question, I think, at least 5 different times, and I really have the same answer because I think it is a little bit of both because, you saw what happened with a guy like Nick Saban, Kirby Smart's mentor, guy he coached under for a long time, talking about, just the way the game has moved. It's a reason why I can't really coach anymore. But, no, I think Kirby Smart understands the landscape of college football, but at the same time, I think he also, he's used to that old school method of coaching. These guys that come in a little bit more entitled than usual, coming in with that NIL money that they didn't used to have. So I do think it's a solid mixture of both. Kirby Smart is a very hard coach, and what I mean by that, he coached his players very hard. We talked to Dogs Insider Rusty Manziel. He's one of Kirby's closest friends, and we've asked him about this multiple times. And he does come from that old school train of thought, and he has mentioned that a couple of times. But like I said, I do think Kirby understands the current landscape of college football, and I think to some degree, it was a method of kind of lighting a fire under his guys, because he's usually pretty picky in the spring, because that's usually when guys are a little bit raw and, things aren't as crisp as obviously he'd want them going forward.
Miles, Georgia scores 22 to beat Texas in the SEC championship, then turns around and only scores 10 in the college football playoff against Notre Dame. I know there are a lot of Georgia fans out there that don't like the offensive coordinator, Mike Bobo, but how do you think they feel right now?
Yeah, no, Mike Bobo was definitely a big name, whether that's Paul Feinbaum or any other big national media outlet calling for him to be let go or go in a different direction. I know that's been a big sore spot for a lot of Georgia fans, obviously coming from Todd Monken and, winning 2 national championships. But Mike Bobo, he's kind of a polarizing figure in that way, because he does put up a lot of points, but at the same time, there is a lot of inconsistency in his offense and a lot of frustration with how he sometimes uses guys, because it is sort of that, the pro-style offense, but more of the simplified version. Todd Monken ran something similar, but Bobo runs it a little bit more simplified. Now, last year, I think there were a couple of games where you could chalk up faults, not necessarily to Mike Bobo. Arian Smith, for instance, struggled with a lot of drops last year, and that would have put Georgia in different positions to potentially win some games. The Alabama one certainly comes to mind. I wouldn't, underestimate Notre Dame's defense. I do think Notre Dame's defense was legit last year, and all things considered, I do think it was a tough matchup for Georgia. I got to shout out Xavier Watts, the new Falcons draftee there in the later rounds. I like that pick for sure, but I do think Mike Bobo is going to have to certainly make some adjustments going forward, just to make this offense a little bit more dynamic, because you've got the guys, you've got some talent there, especially now at the wide receiver position. Georgia had a really good year this past offseason getting some wide receivers inside there, because that's really where they struggled post Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey, getting some new guys in there. They get Zachariah Branch coming in from USC. So they do have some established guys and some young guys waiting behind. So I do think Mike's going to have to open up this offense a little bit more, and I think he can, because of the skill set that a guy like Gunnar Stockton has, as opposed to maybe Carson Beck.
Also, he provided this year's starting center via his son, Drew Bobo. So at the very least, Mike Bobo has created a center for the Georgia Bulldogs moving forward. Miles Garrett of Miles Garrett TV on X Acclaim, of course, a sports reporter and anchor up in Atlanta at Fox 5, joining us on the Checkmate Coatings hotline. Miles, I realize I said Georgia's season ended in the SEC championship game, because certainly Carson Beck's season ended, and certainly for many, the belief that Georgia's ceiling had ended. What is your confidence in Gunnar Stockton holding down this starting spot under center throughout the duration of this season and getting Georgia back to the promised land?
So the quarterback position for Georgia, and specifically Kirby Smart, is an interesting one, because Kirby very much rewards his guys who stick around and know the system really well and have that experience. Experience is really a huge key for Kirby Smart, and especially Mike Bobo. But they've got some pretty good guys behind him, specifically talking about Ryan Puglisi. I really like him. A lot of Dog fans like him, and the coaching staff has spoken very highly of him. I'd say he probably has a bigger arm and offers a little bit more on-paper talent than a guy like Gunnar Stockton has, but Stockton has been in this system for a while now. He's very close with Mike Bobo, dating back to his high school days. I actually did a story with his high school coach and his family, and their relationship with Kirby Smart and Mike Bobo dates back a really long ways. His team really, really likes Gunnar. It's a guy that they've earned a lot of respect for, and it's kind of funny because hearing the guys talk about Carson and Gunnar, it was almost like night and day. It was kind of funny as us reporters were talking to both these guys. It was sort of interesting to hear the contrast and how they would speak to them, because it almost seemed like a way more positive light that they were talking about Gunnar than they would in Carson at times. But at the same time, yeah, I do think Gunnar has the potential to do it, because, I mean, look, when he came in against Texas, that was a tough situation. I think he performed fairly well, took that big hit there at the end and almost stayed in the game. But that loss against Notre Dame, I don't chalk up to him. I think he did just about everything he could have to help Georgia win that game. I think it was sort of the fault of maybe the defense and the run game and maybe some offensive line play. But I thought Gunnar Stockton did just about everything he could to keep Georgia in that Sugar Bowl. So it'll be exciting to see what he does as a full off season as the starting quarterback. Again, like I said, Kirby Smart places an emphasis on that experience thing. So it'll be interesting to see how he performs once he's officially had that title now.
Miles, Georgia, once they had 13 players drafted in this draft, 3 in the first round. I feel like they just are kind of used to it at this point, but guys like a Malachi Starks and a Dan Jackson, losing both of them from the secondary, I do feel like you do have to adjust and pretty quickly. What does it look like on the back end of the defense right now with losing those two guys?
Well, like I said, it is still very young, right? And again, like you said, it's something that Georgia has become used to at this point, replacing all those guys, basically the entire Philadelphia Eagles defense now at this point. But a guy that I really like and I think will, has the potential to be another Malachi Starks in the future is KJ Bolden. He's a sophomore out of Buford High School over here in Georgia. Started as a true freshman, performed very well given, his lack of experience. I think he's going to take that next step this season and kind of show that he could potentially be in that first-round pick conversation a year from now, or 2 years from now, I guess, being a sophomore. But a guy like him, Dalen Everett obviously has some experience there being a senior. I really like C.J. Allen at linebacker. Him and Raylan Wilson, I think will be good together there. And, of course, you have another Branch brother, Zion Branch, coming alongside on the defensive side as well to give you some depth. So, again, it's a lot of unknown. I get that. But I do think that they have the potential to take that next step, specifically talking about a guy like K.J. Bolden, because he really showed me something as a freshman last year.
So he'll end up on the Eagles. KJ Bolden will.
Easily. Yeah.
He looks like an eagle.
Go ahead and notch
he
it
plays
in.
like an eagle. Not gonna lie. Yeah.
For real. All right. As I look at Georgia's schedule, Miles, the first two fairly easy. Sorry, Marshall fans and Austin Peay fans. And then at Tennessee, I think that whole Tennessee conversation after the Nico Iamaleava transferring out is fascinating. But I want to focus on that Alabama-Georgia game that comes up in September 27th. Do you think that Kirby Smart has finally kind of solidified that Georgia now is heads and shoulders above Alabama?
Well, he's got to beat him first, right? I mean, he lost last year to Alabama and the year before that as well. So, I mean, of course, you'd like to say that just given the fact that there's been 2 national championships since Alabama's last title. But in head-to-head matchups, Kirby hasn't beaten Alabama. So until he does that, I think that it's still Alabama, but you're right. I mean, Georgia has now become the class of college football. It's them, Ohio State, and I guess you could say Michigan at this point since they do have that national championship. But I'd really say it's now become a game between Ohio State, Georgia, and Texas just because of what Texas is doing recruiting and whatnot. I know they still have to win a national championship to be considered in that class, but I do think it's them head and shoulders above the rest. But yeah, no, having that game at home at Sanford Stadium this year will be huge, especially coming after that game against Tennessee, depending on how. Because after that, it's really smooth sailing up until that Ole Miss game, and then you have Texas at home again in mid-November. So it's a very winnable schedule for Georgia to get back into the playoff. But that Alabama game, definitely going to be a prove-it moment for Kirby Smart because it's been a minute since he's taken down the Tide.
Don't you overlook Florida November 1st in Jacksonville, Miles.
Oh, of course. How could I?
We need to get you on, in studio, on air for that one. I'm going to, personally call Fox 5 and be like, hey, Miles needs to come down Thursday night. He can do a little story on RV City so he can hang out with helmets and heels in studio in Duval County on November the 1st.
I'll give you my boss's number.
I love it. I'm at the ready. Doubleheader to end with, Miles, as we tie a couple things together. No, not baseball related. Number one, Jalen Walker gets to stay in the state of Georgia, go to the Atlanta Falcons. Expectations realistically for him going 15th overall, slid in the draft, but what he can do in year one. And second, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, is the Jax Ulbrich story the strangest you have covered outside of people accusing you of being the other Miles Garrett?
Oh, gosh. Well, I'll address Jalen Walker first. I think that was a situation where I think Jalen Walker was number one on the Falcons board, but the team did not expect him to fall down there to 15. This is why I think the James Pierce pick makes a little bit more sense considering what they were dealing with at the time. Now, I know there is some backlash there considering what they gave up to get him, trading a first-round pick to get back in there at the end of the first round. But Jalen Walker, to me, was a guy that is really a difference maker and a guy that can really set in there for Grady Jarrett from a leadership perspective. Jalen Walker is the guy that has captain written all over him. And really in Jeff Ulbrich's defense, he's a guy that can roam, right? I think James Pierce Jr. can really be sort of that set edge rusher, and I think where they like Jalen Walker is sort of that roamer. You know, you can have him all over the field from the linebacking standpoint. You can have him as the edge rusher. You can have him there in the middle in coverage, drop back into coverage, move him around. And this is the biggest need for the Falcons. You know, you could argue Jalen Walker was right up there with Abdul Carter as the best pass rusher in this draft. So when a guy like that falls to you at 15, I think it was no question. I was there at the draft party there in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and it was funny. Almost everybody there unanimously. It's the first time I've seen the Falcons fans overjoyed with a first-round pick in quite some time, at least all together, because I know it was pretty split last year with Michael Penix Jr. But no, I do think the pick was an excellent pick for Terry Fontenot, and it is unfortunate, transitioning to your next question, that it was overshadowed by a prank call, of course, by Zach Abolverdi. And that was a really weird thing because, again, I shouldn't say it was weird because, you know, looking at the Atlanta Falcons, it seems like if there's anything weird, then it involves the Atlanta Falcons, whether that's 28-3 or Bijan Robinson not disclosing that he has a concussion, or Kirk Cousins last year losing a draft pick. I mean, it just unfortunately seems like every single year there's been some kind of situation involving the Falcons, and unfortunately this was another situation like that. And Jeff Ulbrich was very apologetic afterwards. He was very emotional, actually. It looked like he was shedding a couple tears when he did finally address the media, but I cannot imagine the discipline I would have if I lost my dad $100,000.
Yeah, definitely. You got that right. Well, we appreciate your time, Miles. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, guys. You have a good day.
Thanks. Appreciate you, Miles. And, of course, again, you can find him on X at Miles Garrett. That's Miles, not Myles, Garrett TV.
To Taylor's point, Roquan Smith, DeAndre Baker, Eric Stokes, Trayvon Walker, Jordan Davis, Quay Walker, Devontae Wyatt, Jalen Carter, Michael Williams, Jalen Walker, and Malachi Starks. All those defensive players from Georgia drafted in the first round. All right, we've got one more pair of tickets to go see Riley Green awaiting on the other side. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010X on 92.5 FM.
Get Florida Gators play-by-play on 1010XL.
Florida faces #1 Texas for a weekend duel in Austin. Friday night, Saturday and Sunday afternoon on 1010 AM.
Yo, it's your main man E.T. here, and it's time to make those summer break plans. Clay County is calling. From paddleboarding on Doctors Lake to reeling in the big one on Black Creek or cruising the St. Johns River. There's no better place to dive into warm weather fun. Enjoy live music, local festivals, food trucks, and fireworks lighting up the night. Discover scenic parks, hidden trails, and must-visit local gyms. Your summer adventures start here. Visit exploreclay.com.
The joys of home ownership. Until the plumbing backs up, the AC goes out, or your septic system decides to act up. The good news? You don't have to call 3 different companies when things go wrong. Just call my friends at Duck Duck Rooter. They are your one-stop shop for plumbing, septic, and air conditioning all under one roof. So whether it's a leak, a clog, or your system just won't cool, they've got you covered. Don't take my word for it. Check out their 5-star reviews on Google. From the moment you call to the moment the tech solves your issue, you'll get first-class service every step of the way. Give them a ring at 904-862-6769 or visit duckduckrooter.com. Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. One call does it all.
Your yard starting to look a little like a jungle? Well, it might be time for a little TLC. Or how about RTC, Russell Tree Care? At Russell Tree Care, they give your trees the perfect haircut. Whether it's trimming or removing, they'll make sure your yard looks its best, all while keeping safety as a top priority. Call Russell Tree Care today and let them take care of your trees. Russell Tree Care, 844-4Mr. Wood. That's 844-467-9663. Or visit RussellTreeCareLLC.com today. Your trees will thank you.
At Hurricane Grill and Wings, the wings are fresh, the drinks are cold, and the game is always on. With 30 bold flavors, ice-cold beer, and handcrafted cocktails, there's no better place to kick back and catch every play. Escape the ordinary. Your home for sports is Hurricane Grill and Wings.
I'm Max Fink. Join me for the Gator Report on 1010XL as I break down the latest storylines in Gator Nation.
Put together by San Jose Collision on the home of the Florida Gators, 1010XL.
Go, Gators!
Joe C. for Preferred Roofing, reminding you your roof is more than just felt and shingles. It's a system that not only keeps your home dry, but also impacts your heating and cooling bills. Preferred Roofing and Construction is a GAF Master Elite roofing contractor lauded for having the ability to educate and inform homeowners on their options. Why GAF and Preferred Roofing? They're veteran-owned and operated with ties to Duval for decades. A family business ready to make sure your family has a good roof over its head. Log on, preferredroofingjacks.com.
Fantastic news here. Due to overwhelming response, Beers Diamonds extending their amazing earring and bracelet sale for Mother's Day. Hicken here. So now through Mother's Day, you can still save up to 40% off diamond earrings and diamond tennis bracelets. It's Beers' most ambitious offer ever, and response has been incredible. The corporate-owned big box stores can't touch these prices. Beers, locally owned, man. Say hi to the Lupos when you go over there. The freedom to give you pricing you deserve, highest quality diamond jewelry. Celebrate the mothers in your life with something they'll appreciate for decades to come. They also have special pricing on other Mother Day favorites, including colored gemstones, pearls, pendants, and fashion jewelry. Beards Diamonds, your destination for making this Mother's Day truly special. Don't miss Beards Diamonds' biggest sale ever. Up to 40% off Beards' already beatable value price. Now through Mother's Day at the Town Center. Only locally owned jeweler. It's Beards Diamonds.
For 120 years, Ford has been committed to doing the right thing for America. And we're not going anywhere. That's why Ford assembles more vehicles in the U.S. than any other automaker and employs the most hourly auto workers in the country. That's not a boast, it's a pledge to the Americans who drive our vehicles and the capable people who build them, because our values can't be offshored. We do it for the people who make America. Workers, farmers, first responders, communities. As long as America depends on them, they can depend on us. Ford Motor Company. From America, for America.
Based on S&P Global Mobility calendar year 2024 U.S. light vehicle production data. Assembled in the USA with domestic and foreign parts. Based on 2024 year-end hourly employment data.
Jacksonville, Hickens calling it. Checkmate Coating, my MVP. Tough, slick floors that dominate any space.
Checkmate Coatings. Your floor's missing piece.
Are your monthly bills keeping you up at night, wondering how you got so behind? Hey, I'm Roger Moore, CEO of Loan Pronto. I get it. Life is expensive now. Insurance, groceries, cars. And then there's the credit card debt with those obscene interest rates. It's time to regain your financial freedom. And that's what we offer at Loan Pronto, using the power of the equity in your home. We have multiple ways to get you the cash you need, and most clients close in 2 weeks or less, and many don't even require an appraisal. And listen, rates have been plummeting recently. We just locked the homeowner in with an APR in the low fives, saving her over $1,000 per month, and put $10,000 in her pocket. Life-changing money. Whether you're drowning in debt, have a nosebleed rate you got last year, need home improvements, or simply need cash in your pocket, we can help you accomplish this goal in record time. Call us today and get started with no hard credit pull, just a conversation. LoanPronto.com, 904-999-1508. LoanPronto.com. That's LoanPronto.com.
Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Our houses are protected by the good Lord and a gun. You might meet them both if you show up here not welcome, son.
That's right. It's time to give away our final pair of tickets to go see Riley Green at ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena. That concert comes up Friday, August 8th. Ella Langley, Drake White, and Channing Wilson are the opening acts. Taylor, can you see the call screen there?
Yeah,
all lines
already
all
flashing.
lines are already lit up. So we will reward caller number 3 at 641-1010. Caller number 3, 641-1010. The tour is called the Damn Country Music Tour. If you haven't heard, Riley Green has a song called Damn Country Music. He has a song with Ella Langley, too. Like I said, that's what I think really got her really popular as of late. And that song, You Look Like You Love Me, is the name of that one. I'm sure they'll be performing that one together. Yeah, so that's Ella Langley.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I really like that song.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people figured out who she was because of that duet, which earlier we played Different Round here, RJ did. And that song, I think a lot of people found out who Riley Green was if they hadn't already because Luke Combs joined him on that song. And so a lot of times that collaboration can really help propel someone. For instance, there's a guy coming to the Jacks Beach Country Music Fest. His name's John Morgan. Most people probably hadn't have heard of him until Jason Aldean joined him on his song, Friends Like That. And so I think for country radio purposes like that, like I said, that can really help people become popular. But yeah, the tickets go on sale tomorrow morning. That is Friday, 10 a.m., Ticketmaster.com. If you didn't win them today, so sorry, but you can buy them tomorrow morning at Ticketmaster.com starting at 10 a.m. I'm super excited about this concert. As soon as I heard Riley Green was coming to town, it was announced a little earlier this week, I could not wait. And it's going to be a whole lot of fun there in August 8th. All right, time now to cool down.
Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since 87.
I honestly don't know if we're cooling down because I think we're just heating up. Where to begin? I guess we'll start with the news of the day. No, not in the sports world. A new pope has been elected. Pope Leo, formerly the Cardinal Prevost of the United States, not Provost, Prevost of the United States. He hails, originally born from Chicago. Our friend Mike Golick Jr., though, among the best tweets I've seen so far, which Pope Twitter is the best Twitter, as Brooke Pryor of ESPN, who joined us yesterday, just posted. He's, I guess, from Naperville, Taylor. So is he really from Chicago?
Yeah, that was, it was like, that's what people say. It's still Chicago.
He's from Chicago, but is he Naperville? Duh, Pope has also been thrown out there.
Oh, yeah.
Of note, though, and for purposes of cooling down, but perhaps heating up, he attended Villanova University, much like the majority of the New York Knicks starting lineup. Is this the reason they have now come back from down 20 in back-to-back games against the reigning NBA champion Boston Celtics? Many are asking, and I believe it is so.
They remind me, honestly, and I'm not trying to jinx them, but they remind me of the 2025 national championship in men's basketball in the Florida Gators. What did Florida do almost every single game throughout the tournament?
Come back.
Other than a couple. They had to come back. Not always 20-point deficits by any means, but certainly at 12 points here, 10 points here. And so I'm fascinated to see how many people, and I heard Hicken mention this morning too, but I've thought about it. The way Jalen Brunson plays, it reminds me a lot of Walter Clayton Jr. And I'm not saying Walter Clayton Jr. is better than Jalen Brunson. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the way that he led his team, the way he was able to create his shots, and he is the guy that, the clutch guy that everyone looks to.
That moment when
reminds me.
That moment and this is how I felt, and I said this during the tournament, how I felt with Walter Clayton. As soon as you thought, like, he was playing at his best, he turned it up a notch, and that's how you feel with Brunson, too.
Or the minute you think that any hope is gone.
Done. Yeah.
That they're done, that this is it.
There's just a spark.
And I also think if you are Walter Clayton, who is expected now to go in the mid-first round after winning the national title with Florida and becoming the most outstanding player of the tournament, I do think that Jalen Brunson is a blueprint, and there will be those who will argue, and RJ, I'd love your take on this, there will be those who will argue that Jalen Brunson is a one-off, that this great college player, undersized point guard who goes in the second round, becomes the most clutch performer statistically speaking and emotionally as well in the NBA. Does that give credence to perhaps Walter Clayton Jr. can also find similar success at the next level?
I think if someone wants to give him that role, I believe it's all about opportunities. You look at a guy that went to a small school by the name of Damian Lillard from Weber State, and the Blazers take him 6. And, a lot of individuals called him D-League Dame because they didn't think that his game was going to be able to translate to the next level. So, you also look at a guy like Jalen Brunson, and I don't think that anyone thought that him having his own situation where the ball is in his hands is probably the best idea. But he's proved everybody wrong. And, to be able to have a dad who's seen there, done that, got the T-shirt and the mug to tell you about it, I think has really helped him as well. And for him to also be on the sideline to be able to talk him through certain things. In terms of Walter Clayton Jr., I think a lot of guys are, myself included, going to look at him as probably a guy who can get his own basket, but he's also going to have to be able to knock down the long ball. Hacker likes him in Orlando, and that's who a lot of Orlando Magic fans want drafted to the Magic. But if that's the case, he's going to probably be a combo guard. So Walter Clayton, if he's not selected by the Orlando Magic and he goes to a situation where one of these teams is handing him the ball and saying this is your show, we may be able to see that. But I mean, Jalen Brunson's a different cat, man, and doing really well in this second round series, which I feel probably a lot of Knick fans and also NBA writers really wrote off when they were going up against the defending champs.
Well, before we say hello to XL Primetime, RJ, let's let everybody hear, especially those Pacers and Knicks fans, how the last two games have gone.
Misses Halliburton, the rebound. 9 seconds. They do have a timeout. Carlisle's going to let him play. Halliburton steps back and hits. Tyrese Halliburton trying to take Cleveland's heart. And it is over. The Indiana Pacers in a Game 2 stunner.
Clutch player. The award went to him. A chance for the lead here for the first time tonight. They're going to go. They're not going to use the timeout. Plenty of time here. It's Tatum. Robinson's on him. Tatum maneuvering. Oh, the ball knocked away. Another great defensive play for the Knicks. They've got it. They've won it. New York has gone up 2 games to none. And defense again at the end. Mikal Bridges.
And honestly, that's how Florida's entire season ended. That's how they won the Natty, is Walter Clayton Jr. made that awesome play on defense. And again, the Knicks haven't won the championship by any means yet.
The odds did just go up, though. I saw on a couple different sports books.
They did, for sure. By the way, shout out to FSU head softball coach Lonnie Alameda. I've mentioned to y'all before that she's currently undergoing a battle against breast cancer. She was named the 2025 ACC Coach of the Year, and FSU a little earlier they are the 1 seed in the ACC tournament. They took on Georgia Tech. They won 8-0 in 6 innings. So they ruled Georgia Tech so far in the ACC tournament, so we'll keep an eye on that.
And this one's from my dad.
Oh.
My dad is not locked in on Florida sports like many of you. Of course, he lives in the great state of New Jersey, and he went D3. But he wants to make sure you are all aware that the number 4 overall seed University of Florida women's lacrosse team begins NCAA tournament play at 4 o'clock today against Mercer. So it sounds like he's going to be locked in.
My dad will be locked in.
Yeah, and any opportunity to spread the good word of lacrosse down here, I suppose my parents are seizing that, especially after we did the show live when number 3 Michigan came to JU. And like my poppy was
was fun.
My poppy was stunned that much of the listening audience and some of 1010 hasn't been exposed to the game as much as my family has, which of course they have like revisionist history, because outside of my cousins in the DMV playing lacrosse, like my parents did not grow up playing lacrosse because it didn't exist back then in New Jersey. But anyways, I digress. Gators, Big 12 champs, number 4 overall seed, 4 o'clock against Mercer.
All right, let's do this.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. CoolCatsJacks.com.
The coolest cats in town.
Matt, we talked some Gators today. We talked some dogs today. And I feel like for the first time in Georgia's won 7 out of the last 8, so Florida's only won once. So take 2020 out of the last 7 years, I feel like this might be the best chance Florida has to maybe get Georgia.
I think they would have gotten him last year had Lagway not got hurt.
Yeah, that's certainly a possibility.
But yeah, I certainly think they think that. There's no doubt about that. There a lot of people in that building in Gainesville believe that it's not just Georgia they're going to get, that they're going to, surprise a lot of people. We'll see. We'll see. Let's see what happens.
If for nothing
Let's see what happens
else,
the ball's kicked off, and if Lagway can stay healthy, and yeah.
We said it to Zach Abolverdi. If for nothing else than just looking at the depth chart, Matt, the lack of brand new faces via the transfer portal is jarring. The fact that you've said it before, and I believe you'll say it again, this is his team. And he's been waiting to get his guys in the building. And this is a Billy Napier constructed team. There's really no Dan Mullen left. So therefore, do the excuses go out the window as well?
Well, I mean, it's his organically constructed team too. He wants to do it through high schools, through recruiting, and sprinkle a couple portal guys here and there. You can do that if you're Georgia. You can do that if you're Ohio State, although Ohio State added 4 big guys from the portal that basically helped them win the national title. Without them, they wouldn't have won it last year. You can do that if you're one of the elite 2 or 3 or 4 teams that can do that. He's trying to do something that's not easy. And if he does and he succeeds, it'll be... If he succeeds, he will push Florida to that level where they can stay there and sustain, because if you're in this type of state with these type of high school football players and you're right next to the state of Georgia, which is another talent-rich state, and then you've proven you can go into Texas and recruit, you can go out to California and recruit, then you got a chance to really build something. But you got to win. You got to win big games, and you got to win a championship. They haven't won an SEC title since 2008. 2008.
They played for it in 2009, obviously, and we're super close, but that was that crazy good Alabama team.
Never
They
forget.
played for it a couple other times with McElwain in 2022, but they're so far removed from the days of being among the elite in college football when the coach, who never lies, by the way, won 2 national championships. Did you hear what he said on his podcast?
Did you hear Joe Mixon plays for the... I'm just kidding. Go ahead. Continue.
Any coach who lies should be fired immediately.
Oh, my gosh.
He said any college coach who lies to NCAA investigators should be fired immediately. It was a shot at Sharon Moore, who obviously lied to NCAA investigators. Jim Harbaugh lied to NCAA investigators. So it's more of an Ohio State, Michigan thing, but the onions of that guy to say that.
He's insane. I think sometimes he doesn't know. He doesn't know.
No, he does. He just doesn't care.
He doesn't
care.
care.
He'll look at all 4 of us. He'll tell Mia something, and he'll tell Lauren something. He'll tell you something, and he'll tell me something completely different.
That's called a pathological liar.
And believe everything he says to everybody.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. All right, Matt, what's coming up?
We might talk about that.
Yeah.
We're going to talk, of course, Jags, and we're going to get into some college football. We got a lot of football on the horizon.
Well, I do have one local high school note I do want to make sure we get to before we pass it off to the boys of XLP. Ponte Vedra has won the 2A semifinal in overtime over Lake Mary on the lacrosse field, 10-9 down in Naples. So PV headed to the boys lacrosse finals.
Yeah,
right,
what's the difference real quick?
Yeah.
Diet Mountain Dew or Mountain Dew Free?
Is that the 0?
Yeah.
Diet has no calories. I think 0 has or maybe no sugar, and 0 has a little sugar. I don't know the difference. I just don't like the taste.
better.
Yeah, I just don't like the taste of the 0. I'm a Diet Mountain Dew girl through and through.
Got it.
All right, thanks, Matt. All right, for Mia O'Brien, for Taylor Dahl, for RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. That'll do it for us today. Don't go anywhere, though. XL Primetime is next. These heels are made for talking. We will talk to you tomorrow on a Feel Good Friday.
Gonna walk all over you. Yeah. You keep lying when you ought to be truthing.
He's the toughest guy on our team.
Thinks he's Rambo.
Tom McManus.
Rambo is a...
Fridays on Jaguars Today, 10 to noon on the flagship station of the Jaguars, 1010XL.
Are your kids ready to play this summer? Come check out The Y. Summer is a time for kids to explore new things and expand the limits of their imagination. At The Y, summer camps every day is a new adventure. Kids can learn about STEM, arts and humanities, athletic sports, outdoor games, and more. Registration is now open, but space is limited, and spots are filling up quickly. Learn more and find your adventure at fcymca.org. Search Summer Day Camp.
New and pre-owned firearms are in stock at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach. Want a new sidearm or rifle? Brands like Kimber, Smith & Wesson, 6 Hour, Beretta. No lines, no hassle. Only at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
The Sawgrass Marriott Golf Resort and Spa is the perfect place for indulging in a pampering spa treatment. This Mother's Day season, give the gift of wellness with a gift card and take advantage of the spa's current promotion. Buy a $75 gift card or more and guests get a credit towards a future service. With healing massages, revitalizing facial treatments, and more, a day at the Sawgrass Spa makes a perfect gift for everyone. Purchase in person at Sawgrass Spa during operating hours.
4 guys, want a golf course fairway quality lawn?
TopDressing.com just landed in Jacksonville with the golf course secret for St. Augustine grass homeowners. A patented process that aerates and turns your turf into a fairway stunner. Serious golf course technology, but in your yard. Less water, tighter cuts, total neighborhood domination. No one else scores a perfect 10 lawn. Hit TopDressing.com now. You will own the block. Top dress your yard like the pros with TopDressing.com.
Is your backyard ready for the big leagues? Pick it here for Surfside Pools. Serving Northeast Florida since 1977, they have the home field advantage. Family owned and operated, offering weekly pool service, equipment repairs, commercial maintenance, remodels, and new pool construction. Let Surfside Pools make your backyard dreams a reality. Are you ready to float happy? Visit SurfsidePools.net or call 904-246-2666. Surfside Pools and Spas, your hometown MVP.
License number CPC 044080.
Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach. Meet our newest players. 1010XL Draft Profiles are brought to you by Wicca Candle Bar.
If speed was a need in Jacksonville, they revved up their engines when selecting Bashal Tootin in day 3 of the draft from Virginia Tech. Tootin ran a